4 o'clock. I'd like to call the meeting to order. Our first item is our Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mr. Vice Chair, please read our mission statement.
The mission of the Marshall Public School District is to educate, support, and prepare all learners for success.
Thank you. Approval of the agenda. Do we have a motion?
I'll move.
I'll second.
Any additions? Hearing none, please vote. It is approved. Public forum. We ask that you limit your remarks no more than 3 minutes. Please note this, if there is more than one person in your group who wishes to address the board, please designate a spokesperson. Board meetings are meetings held in public. They are not public hearings, and the board is not able to respond. Remarks must be respectful and courteous, free of name-calling and personal attacks. Inappropriate language will not be tolerated. Due to the data privacy laws, information concerning Pacific students or staff is not appropriate for this agenda item. Information addressing Pacific students or staff should be communicated to the appropriate building administrator or to the superintendent of schools. The floor is open. And just to save time, if we could start a line on this side here. Hi.
Hi, my name is Steph Scarcett, and I'm the Vice President of the Marshall Education Association. Our membership values racial and social justice. Educators believe our public schools should be a place where all students feel safe, supported, and valued. This includes affirming students' identities. Our district's mission statement is to educate, support, and prepare all learners for success. The district also states in their 2022 strategic plan that we believe a diverse and inclusive environment enriches the individual, school, and community. The school board's equal education policy, number 102, general statement includes, it is the school's district policy to provide equal educational opportunity for all students. The school district does not unlawfully discriminate on the basis of race, color, creed, religion, national origin, sex, marital status, parental status, status with regard to public assistance, disability, sexual orientation, including gender identity and expression or age. The school district also makes reasonable accommodations for disabled students. The key word here is all. It is our responsibility as the adults in this district to support all of our students, regardless of what they look like, where they come from, how much money their parents make, or their sexual or gender identity. They are our students. It is important to continue to display the pride flag so that all of our LGBTQ+ educators and students feel safe and supported. Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Joel DeVos, and I am a resident of the Marshall School District. A wonderful friend of mine, Dolores Williams, who is also a strong Lakota woman, touched on the subject of gender diversity in the Native American culture at one of the previous board meetings, and so I just wanted to expand on that some, if I could. In Native American cultures, people were valued for their contributions to the tribe rather than for masculinity or femininity. Parents did not assign gender roles to their children either, and even children's clothing tended to be gender neutral. There were no ideas or ideals about how a person should love. It was simply a natural act that occurred without judgment or hesitation. In fact, people who had both female and male characteristics were viewed as gifted by nature and therefore able to see both sides of everything. All Native American communities acknowledge the following gender roles: female, male, two-spirit female, two-spirit male, and transgendered. Without a negative stigma attached to being Two-Spirit, there were no intertribal incidents or retaliation or violence towards chosen people simply due to the fact that individuals identified as the opposite or both genders. It wasn't until Europeans took over North America that natives adopted the ideals of gender roles. For Native Americans, there was no set of rules that men and women had to abide by in order to be considered a normal member of their tribe. The culture of gender diversity in Native Americans was one of the first things that Europeans worked to destroy and cover up. According to people at the time, such as American artist George Catlin, the Two-Spirit tradition had to be eradicated before it could go into history books. Those influences soon brought serious prejudice against gender diversity, and so this forced openly alternative or androgynous people into one of two choices. They could either live in hiding in fear of being found out, or they could end their lives, many of whom did just that. The Two-Spirit people in Europe, the Two-Spirit people in pre-European Native America were highly revered, and families that included them were considered lucky. Imagine a world where people allowed others to live freely as the people nature intended them to be, without harm, without persecution, without shame. Imagine a world where we are truly free. In conclusion, I would like to state that biblical or other religious text or doctrine should never be used as a source for making decisions in public entities. There is one text, however, that should be used, and this is the Constitution of the United States. And found in Amendment 1 of the Constitution, the first sentence states, "Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof." The point of this amendment is twofold. First, it ensures that religious beliefs, private or organized, are removed from attempted government control. This is the reason why government cannot tell you or your church what to believe or what to teach. Second, it ensures that the
Thank you,
government
sir.
does not get involved by enforcing...
Thank you, sir.
Just
Thank you. It's
okay,
done.
thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Mary Brow. I have 3 children, 2 sons that have attended Marshall Public School. One graduated in 2018, and one is a sophomore at Marshall Public High School. As we all know, raising children is an awesome but challenging job. Throughout their years in school, when my children would come home at 3 o'clock and fill me in on what was happening, I always gave them my 2 cents. I was, and I'm afraid, still am that mom. My kids are no longer at the middle school, so I actually didn't hear about the flag from any of them. I heard about it from some of my friends. So, per usual, I had to talk to my kids, especially my sophomore, and give them my 2 cents. I did not say, where is the flag that represents you? What about the straight kids? Or, where is the straight kids' flag? I said, you are so lucky to go to a school that cares about making all of their students feel safe. Because you see, my straight, white, middle-class, Christian children do not need to be reminded that they are seen and accepted. They already know this. They were born with every advantage. It is the marginalized students that day after day walk into a building, unsure of their place, that need the visual reminder that they are cared about. It is the kids that are struggling with their identity that need to know that they matter. And as a lovely side effect, I am teaching my children empathy and selflessness. For the last 2 months, I have heard many people use God and their beliefs as an excuse to say some pretty ugly, misinformed, and downright false things about the LGBTQ community. If you are concerned about your religious beliefs that, by the way, actually have no place in public school decisions, I just want you to think about which is a more Christian response to a flag that encourages love and acceptance. Asking, where is your flag? Or being thankful there is a school that employs people that care about each and every student in their school. Because as a Christian, I can tell you with certainty that I know what Jesus would do.
Hello. I'm Kathleen Deitz. a parent, a teacher, a coach, and a leader. I've debated over the past few months if I should get up here and speak, even after I sent a letter to each board member. Then I remembered, as a parent, I'm consistently encouraging my own children to stand up for what is right, even when it is difficult, scary, or against the grain. If I sit back and listen and don't say anything, what example am I setting for my own children and the children of this district? I am grateful every day that I work in this school district. And I have 3 of my 4 children that attend Marshall Public School. In fact, the main reason that they are here in our public school system is because of the diversity and inclusion of all students in each building. Now is the time to do the right thing and show that we as a district and community support our LGBTQ+ students. This is our job as parents, community leaders, educators, and advocates for the youth in our community and our district, and show them that we accept them for who they are, regardless if we agree or disagree. I support this flag as a parent of 4 amazing children, a teacher of Marshall Public Schools, a coach in the community, and an advocate as well as a community leader. If we as leaders and adults cannot show dignity and respect of all students and humans, who will? This should not be a religious issue, as we are in a public school setting. I challenge you to be bold and do the right thing by showing dignity and respect and support for our students by leaving the LGBTQ flag hanging. Thank you for allowing me this time, and thank you for your willingness to stand by our students.
Is there anybody else?
Hi, my name is Julie Walker, and I'm apparently too tall for this microphone. Sorry. The first time I felt attracted to someone, it was like my body became electrified. My cheeks flushed crimson, and my heart pumped faster. It was an autonomic response, this feeling of attraction. It came without conscious thought or political agenda. I just was. I felt attracted. The first time I picked up a wrench to fix a car with my dad, the tool felt right. And I have these same feelings when I make cookies with my kids or sew matching pajama bottoms for my family on Christmas Eve. These are the things that feel right to me. They're a part of my identity, and more specifically, they play into the way that I see my gender identity. These concepts of sexual orientation and gender identity, they are not debates. You don't get to impose an opinion on someone else's attraction or their gender identity. Sexual orientation and gender identity just are. They're facts about a person, as clear as the fact that this conversation is about anything except equal spaces. This argument was, if it was merely about equal spaces, those arguing about the flag wouldn't spend time providing evidence about how these lifestyles or the apparent unnaturalness of anything other than heterosexuality is evidence that they've put forward. We would not have heard people come out to share, at best, ill-informed opinions, and at worst, violent ignorance thrown in the faces of our students. And moreover, the legal nature of the flag opinion is not based in fact. In fact, as of 2015, marriage in the United States is not defined as between one man and one woman. That's simply not an accurate statement. I believe religion can be powerful in ways that it helps make sense of a complex world. I believe religion can be a powerful way to learn more about how to love one another. But when religion is weaponized and used to celebrate the dehumanization of others, I cannot support those practices. The threatened lawsuit is a nylon-thin piece of fabric pulled over blatant ignorance. Many have asked the question, why isn't the American flag enough to cover everyone? Clearly, those asking the question do not actually seek an answer, because if they did, they would start to understand the necessity of the multitude of specific identities covered in the Inclusion Project. Each flag represents a set of experiences, a culture of which Marshall students are a part. Recognizing the lived experiences of the LGBTQ+ students through maintaining the pride flag at the middle school shows structurally the school system here in Marshall acknowledges the more difficult path these students face. We acknowledge their existence, and we acknowledge their personhood. This fight is not about a flag, so do not diminish the significance of what your decision about these issues say. When you have conversations or vote or make decisions, you are either saying that you believe people's lived experiences about who they feel attracted to whom, or how someone feels connected to their gender identity, or that you do not believe them, and that you do not believe that they should have the right to feel these ways.
My name is Kelly D. Holstein, and I'm the Director of Educational Equity at Outfront, Minnesota, and I'm the 2018-2019 Minnesota State Teacher of the Year. Educational equity is, thank you. Educational equity is finding out what every student needs to be successful, academically, social, emotionally, and everything in between, and getting it for them. And I have learned from several staff members and parents in your district that not all of your students are getting their needs met. Principal Thomas is trying to fix this problem by openly promoting and supporting equity. Please let her do her job. If you continue to allow non-supportive community members to spread their hatred toward the LGBTQ+ community, and if you can't see how their words and actions are impacting your students, then you're not keeping your schools safe. Homophobic people are not in danger because LGBTQ+ humans exist, but LGBTQ+ people are in danger because homophobia exists. Even though there are some folks in this room who don't believe it's okay to be LGBTQ+, that does not erase the fact that you have students and educators who still are, and they deserve to feel safe and protected. 74% of LGBTQ+ students feel unsafe at school. This is a real statistic about real students, and it matters. But what should matter the most to you is the kids who attend your schools every day. You need to care about a boy who was beat up last month for being gay. You need to care about a girl whose mom had to remove her from the school because she was getting harassed by students and teachers for being part of the LGBTQ+ community. These are just two examples of the students in your district who are being harmed by the fighting y'all are doing as adults. Principal Thomas did and continues to do the right thing, and she is protected by the law. The U.S. Department of Education Office of Civil Rights, the Minnesota Human Rights Act, and the Minnesota Safe and Supportive Schools Act all support LGBTQ+ students to have safe educational environments that are free of discrimination and harassment. This flag is showing tangible support toward those humans, and there is no law that supports the claim that people's First Amendment rights are being harmed by flying this flag. Non-supporters are using that lawsuit as a threat in an attempt to control, manipulate, and coerce you into being afraid. Ironically, taking the flag down and demonstrating active discrimination against a protected class could cause a lawsuit that you most likely would not win. Being neutral is not being supportive. As Desmond Tutu so famously said, if you're neutral in situations of injustice, you have chosen the side of the oppressor. If an elephant has its foot on the tail of a mouse and you say that you are neutral, the mouse will not appreciate your neutrality, and neither will your LGBTQ+ and allied community. People from all across the nation are watching you, but what matters the most is that your students are watching you too. Will you teach them that they should treat each other with respect? Will you model for them that they matter? Will you stand up for them, and will you keep them safe from harm?
Thank you.
My name is Jeff Greathouse, and I am here today to speak on behalf of the flag remaining. I'm the chaplain at Lutheran Campus Ministry at SMSU. My older children have graduated from Marshall, and my youngest daughter is currently a junior at Marshall High School, and she walked these halls for 4 years. Prior to the university, I spent 20 years as a youth and family minister in 5 different states. Through those years, I have had many heartbreaking conversations with teens who were devastated because they were not accepted by their peers, their parents, their schools, and their faith communities. It is my belief that every student who walks through those doors are created in the image of God, and everyone deserves to be loved and respected. Even though it is 2020, that is not always the case. From name calling and bullying, the range of unequal treatment faced is extensive and damaging, and unfortunately it can be life-threatening. Everyone has the right to life, freedom, and safety. The flag in the cafeteria can be the first step to make sure that happens. In the last 20 years, there is no doubt that the LGBT plus movement has made significant progress, but there is still a lot of work to do, which is evident in the community when we may be spending too much time on whether a flag should remain or be taken down. With that being said, I can understand that it is a very tough issue to talk about. I could be wrong, but I believe that everyone in this room would say the following: I want every student who walks through the halls to be safe and not to live in fear, simply because who they are as an individual. I personally want every lesbian, gay, bisexual, and transgender and straight person in this school to be safe. We as a community can make it happen. As a pastor, I close out my services with a blessing. Thus, as I close out my 3 minutes, I ask you to hear this blessing based on Proverbs 10:12. Hatred starts fight, but love pulls a quilt over the bickering. I'm scared to go to school. I'm hurting. I'm afraid. I have no place to turn. So I am turning to you. They are calling me names. Give me strength to tell them to stop. Protect me from my enemies. They are pushing me around. Help me walk away. Protect me from my enemies. Give me a safe place to go where I won't be taunted. Protect me from my enemies. They are saying mean things about me. Help me stand up for myself. Protect me from my enemies. Please keep me safe.
Hi, my name is Emily Baumgarn, and I'm a parent of 2 young children who will go through the Marshall Public School system. As a former Marshall student, I can remember the first time I felt insecure and unsafe about who I was, because I didn't believe certain things the majority of my classmates did, followed by the second when a teacher called me out in front of the entire class, not for being disruptive, cruel, or a poor student, but because it had become known that I was different than the majority. My existence was not a threat to anyone else's, and it still isn't. And the very same is true for the LGBT plus students. You may be wondering why I bring up my own experiences with intolerance when I am not LGBTQ plus. But the mindsets that are fighting to have this flag taken down are the same that made me feel unwelcome, not valued behind the very same walls 15 years ago. This is a problem, and it has been a problem, and this inclusivity display was progress. Now, as an adult and hearing the way children are being spoken about for something in their being that they cannot change, those feelings of isolation in this very school system come back to me. I'm nervous for my children to go to a school district where the opposition to a display, which was created for the sole purpose of acknowledging and welcoming those who have not statistically and historically felt welcoming environment, but both in school and into adulthood. For some students, being made to feel that they are unwelcome and didn't matter as much as their peers, it became too much. Like Adam Kaiser, age 16, Cameron Langerl, age 15, Jamel Miles, age 9, and many others. LGBT youth who come from highly rejecting families are 8.4 times as likely to have attempted suicide as LGBT peers who reported no or low levels of family rejection. They are already nearly 5 times more likely to attempt suicide than their cisgendered heterosexual counterparts. For those students who do not have the support at home, seeing this flag creates an environment of low rejection, which is something that these children need to depend on. To not support children to openly be their authentic selves is a detriment to their survival and as society as a whole. They are our future. As parents and educators, we took a job to care for the children and to make sure they feel loved and welcome. But at the very least, we took the job not to do harm. This may seem like just a flag, but to the children who may not feel welcome, it is a symbol that they are loved, valued, and protected. They are welcome to be educated here. I remember the experiences in this very school where I felt like I didn't belong, and so will these children. It's time we make the decision to stand up and let these kids know that they matter and their lives matter, Not being a part of a majority does not make you less valuable. I exist in the community as an ally, and I will always choose a path of least harm to children who need our support the most. My hope is that our community will do the same. Thank you for this flag. Thank you all for doing the work to make sure our schools become a place that doesn't become too much for our youth to handle.
Hi, my name is Kitsy Marks, and I'm a parent of children who have attended the Marshall Public School systems. And I was prepared just to read a pre-written statement, but I have a few other things to say first. And you'll have to excuse me being emotional. Our son Isaac is gay, and he has had a struggle. And as I hear these lovely words spoken, I wish that he had experienced those things as he went through the Marshall Middle School. He experienced bullying. There were many days he did not attend school, and we didn't know the reason at the time. He complained of being ill. He complained of just not wanting to go to school, but again, he wouldn't share what those reasons were, even though we felt like we were very open and accepting parents, and we felt like he should know that. We often had the school psychologist, the school's counselors come to get him from home to bring him to school because he just would not go. And he's shared those times with me now, and he's told me how humiliating that was, walking into the school building in tears. But we had no other choice. He needed to go to school, and we didn't know why. If he'd had that flag in school, I think he would have had a different feeling about attending Marshall Middle School. I think he would have felt more safe, or at least felt like he had someone to talk to. It breaks my heart that he didn't feel like he could come to us, but it is a scary, scary thing to feel accepted, to feel like you can say who you are. And if there is this flag hanging in the building, I know those students would know there is someone they can share that with, someone they feel safe to say those words to. And in closing, the rainbow flag is a symbol of love and peace, equality, acceptance, and diversity. When life is made better for a vulnerable group of students, it does not take away from other students because the whole school benefits by becoming a safer community. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Ellen Helgerson, and I stand in support of the LGBTQ+ flag in the middle school cafeteria. Equal rights for others does not mean less rights for someone else. By displaying the LGBTQ+ flag, we are simply supporting a community that does not have as many rights as the majority of us do. Our students need to know that they are welcome and supported, and this flag is a small, beautiful way to do just that. Thank you.
Hi there. My name's Tony McLuhan. I stand in support of the flag. I live here in Marshall. I've been here for about 3 years. I grew up in Mankato. I went to Mankato East. In our high school, we had several pride symbols displayed throughout the school. It was never a big deal, never stirred up any controversy. It only had a positive impact on people. So I was very, very surprised to hear that it's such a controversial topic here in Marshall. It's 2020. Let's take a step forward instead of taking a step back.
All right, thank you. Moving on to our presentations. Activities Department. Is there somebody else who wants to speak? Well, form a line so we know that somebody's ready to speak, so we don't wait. So come on up then. And whoever wants to be next, could they stand over here and be ready?
My name is Kathy Jones, and I stand in support of hanging the flag in the school cafeteria. And I just want to emphasize cafeteria because I think moving the flag to a different location, to a room or to a classroom or someplace else as a perceived solution would be tantamount to just removing the flag. Please don't do that. Nothing we do for our kids is ever wasted. Thank you.
Thank you. Don't want to leave anybody out. Is there anybody else that'd like to speak? Going once? Thank you very much for coming. Moving on to our presentation, the athletic department update.
Hey, Rem.
Certainly could. I think you can go ahead, Mr. Remy, whenever you're ready. Thank you for being here today.
You bet. Thank you for the opportunity to come and visit with you again. It's always a pleasure to come and talk about the wonderful things that we're doing in the activities department, and I appreciate the opportunity to share a few things here tonight. I'm going to click through this and hopefully at any point just feel free to stop me if you have some questions that I can try and clarify for you. I've shared a number of things here. A lot of what we're going to go through, or I shouldn't say a lot, some of what we're going to go through you've seen recently. You know, our activities department's a collection of a lot of different programs. We're very fortunate to have had the support of the school district for so long. We offer, you know, many different sports, fine arts, music programs, academic clubs, competitive academic clubs, and we routinely have nearly 75% of our student body participating in something that we're offering in the activities department. Certainly, we all are spoiled by the things we read in the newspaper about some of the success things, whether that's conference championships or state tournaments and that sort of thing, but it goes way beyond that, and then we're going to talk about some of those things as well. To me, one of the things that makes my job so rewarding as a activities director is working with the qualified staff that we have. We're very blessed to have a lot of very dedicated, knowledgeable, committed leaders in all of our programs, which I think is a direct reflection of the successes that we've had. 2019-2020, this school year is not dislike many of our years. We've had some success on the field, on the courts, in the pool, whatever. Some conference championships, division championships that we've already won. We've had some state tournament appearances for a number of different teams, both teams and individuals who have qualified in different activities, but our fine arts programs have been equally successful, whether it's marching band competing at the regional level in Cedar Rapids or Cedar Falls, Iowa earlier this year. We've had BPA members. They actually, this week, going to the state competition in the cities. Knowledge Bowl and math team, just found out here as I was reading my text earlier, we had some Knowledge Bowl teams that qualified out of the sub-regionals today, so they'll be going to the regional level next week. And routinely we send speech kids, FFA, BPA to national level tournaments. So certainly that doesn't happen without the support of everybody here. You know, as we talk through a lot of those kinds of things, whether it's putting trophies and plaques in the trophy case or the successes that get to the newspaper about our individual students reaching the national level, those are kind of a result of goals that kids set and teams set. But it's not the purpose. And there's a difference between what goals are and what's the purpose. And one of the things we want to talk about and highlight today is what's the purpose of what we do. You know, we've bullet item a few of those things. All these different programs that we offer have the purpose of trying to help prepare kids to be successful after their playing days are done. Most often, more often than not, their experience in a high school activity is the terminal end of that career. We're fortunate. We get to see all these signing ceremonies for kids that are going on to play at college and whatever. You know, we might have 10, 12 of those a year. We have 1,000 kids that participate in our programs. That's a pretty small percentage when you look at the big picture. The purpose of what we do is to help kids develop skills, compete, learn their life skills, spend time with friends, make memories. Those of you who participated as high schoolers way back when, or at least for me it's way back when, you probably have some fond memories of those times. And I'm a firm believer that we offer some experiences to kids that they take with them forever that we can't offer in another setting. And that's one of the great things about what we get to do. We talked earlier this year, I was able to highlight our Life as a Tiger initiative, and it just really is a way to better communicate what our purpose is. Teamwork, integrity, grit, excellence, respect. That's really what each and every program that we offer is set up to do. And it's our job to try and make sure that we're instilling those kinds of things. The Minnesota State High School League has what they call their Why We Play program. And some of you have been here a while, and I've presented on Why We Play before, but it's kind of a way to really make sure that, again, we can communicate what purpose is all about. Purpose and value. And everybody there listed, from school boards, superintendents, principals, right on down the list, everybody has a role in there. As part of what we all need to do to help ensure that we have quality programs and quality experiences. The High School League has put together a short little video that I embedded into here, and hopefully this is going to work, that just talks a little more about that. So I'm going to try to do that. I think, Tricia, you might have to click right on it. Okay. You know, one of the things that we talk about, and hopefully we'll be able to play that, is what all of you, what your role is in helping ensure those good experiences. And I just want to thank you, while I have some time, for providing all these opportunities for our kids. 35 different programs that we offer from an extracurricular standpoint that our kids get to choose from. And we talked before, we've got 21 different sports, but we also have fine arts clubs, music clubs, academic clubs, all those things. We have over 100 staff positions routinely. that help lead all of these programs. Head coaches, assistant coaches, junior high coaches, directors, advisors. I kind of broke it down here a little bit. 119 paid staff positions, 41 head coaches, 64 assistant coaches, directors, advisors, 14 junior high level, as well as 14 volunteers, people that aren't even on our payroll, but they're just willing to put in time to help us. And that's just this year. We certainly couldn't provide what we do without that, that direction. Through our fall and winter activities, just kind of an update of where we're at so far this year. We've had 819 students in grades 7 through 12 participate in at least one of our extracurricular activities. That's over 68% of our student body right now. 438 students participating in multiple activities. And we still got spring sports and activities to come yet. Just for some comparison's sake, annual participation data, and I wrote on there duplicated. Some of these students are in multiple activities, we know that, so in this count, they're counting multiple times. If you're a student who might be in band and speech and baseball, you're getting counted 3 times, but kind of break it down through the different seasons. Obviously, we haven't started all the spring sports. A lot of that stuff kicks off next week, so we'll get some numbers there exactly on where we are, but you can see it's continued to be very consistent over time. Just kind of on a 3-year average.
Bruce, can I ask you one question about that? And I just thought of it. Last year, the numbers in the spring went down. Do you think that had anything to do with the weather and the delays and everything like that?
Without
I'm
a
asking
doubt.
you to speculate. Yeah.
Without a doubt, that does have an impact. We saw some things happen last spring and on the heels of the spring before where the weather was also an impact, but some kids who started got a week or 2 into it and just said, I thought we were going to be outside, and this is getting old. But yeah, I do think that has an impact. Some high school league topics of interest and some things, if you've read the newspapers, you've seen some things. I think I shared in my February board report some changes coming with fees that are going up. I think that's been covered by the media very well. The high school league has some budget challenges, and it's going to impact us as a member of the high school league. One of the things I shared, just some new fees that they're adding that they've never had before next year. Our impact locally is going to be about $1,700. We're going to need to increase our contribution to be a league member. They're implementing a per student fee that they've never had before, as well as raising the fees. Each activity that we join has a fee to it, as well as our membership fee. And all of those are going up next year. Why? Well, number of reasons. The high school league has some increased costs. Their expenses are continuing to go up as they're adding activities. They're adding staff. They're going through a major overhaul of their technology systems right now. And that's not cheap, any of us know. Venues continue to go up in cost. What it costs the high school league to secure the XL Center for a 3-day state tournament, things like that. So that's, I think, what's driving a lot of that. Any of you who have tried to navigate the high school league website right now, I stress try. It's a challenge because they're going through some very challenging things right now. So I'm looking forward to that getting to the finish line so we can hopefully find a more user-friendly site.
Do they think these increased fees will balance their budget, or are they going to need more as we go? Or?
They're hoping that these increases over the next year, the message we've been given to this point is that they're hoping these will meet what their needs are. We have our area spring meetings coming up. We have the state conference coming up here at the end of March, and I'll learn some more from the high school league at that point. But what we've been told to this point is hopefully this is going to meet the needs as they stand right now. As I say that, you take a look at the last bullet on there, and any of you who have read the paper, you know there's some things coming up for votes this spring, and one of the new activities on the docket might be the addition of boys volleyball. that would obviously add some costs and where that might come from. So,
They're looking at over a 50% increase in dues.
yeah, probably overall compared to what we paid last year
It's quite an increase.
to our school. Yeah,
It's quite an increase in 1 year.
it is. Couple other things I'll just highlight real quick. You know, those are things we have to deal with the league, and we'll kind of follow their lead on that. Locally, what are we looking at trying to do? One of the biggest challenges we face is continually recruiting and retaining staff members. As I mentioned before, 119 staff positions takes a lot of bodies. We're fortunate we have a number of people who fill multiple positions. I believe we actually have 74 bodies that fill 119 positions right now. So we have a lot of people who duplicate, do more than one thing for us. But that's a continual problem, and it's not just in Marshall, but across the board. As I visit with colleagues from across the state, everybody, that's probably their number one thing. How do we maintain our staff? How do we keep staff? How do we keep continuity in our staff? Maintaining, enhancing, and expanding facilities and space. You know, we're fortunate. We do have lots of kids participating in lots of things, but as we have lots of kids, we need places to put them. There's always more challenges and more opportunities than we maybe have room for. So that's something we have to continually try and solve. Where can we find another field? Where could we come up with another court? How could we better organize our time on those facilities that we do have to make sure we're meeting the needs of the kids? And that's kind of the third one. How do we help our students just continually reach their potential? We want all of our students, no matter what the activity is, to maximize what their goals are and what they want to get out of it. And how do we continue to structure all of the programs that we have in such a manner that they can maximize their potential and have those good experiences, because that's what it's all about. No luck? Couldn't get it to work, huh?
When you made that comment,
Just couldn't get it to work. I apologize for that. I don't know if, could we send it to everybody?
is it on YouTube or something?
Where we could, I'm not sure. I'll find out and I'll make sure you get that video. It could be user error on my part importing it too, but I apologize for that. Questions? Anything that I touched on that you'd like to hear more about?
We had a couple of years, our last strategic plan, we had a goal of more minority kids involved in our extracurriculars. Do you still keep track of that, or is that still going up, or?
We do have that data. That's something that we try to pull at the end of every year, and kind of look at all of the different participation groups. Yes, that's, we're making some progress. It's not where it needs to be yet, but we have made some progress in the participation ratios there.
Good.
I'd like to make a comment with reference to Bruce. Bruce and I go back a long way. In fact, when we hired him as fourth grade teacher at Westside, he was offered 2 different jobs. He chose to come to us. And I got to work usually early, around 6 or so. He was there before I was. And he still does that. He's at work early and he stays late and he dots the I's and crosses the T's. We're blessed to have his leadership. He's a class act. Thank you, Bruce.
Thanks, Bill.
Mr. Ramey, are you going to relay to the Minnesota State High School League that 50+% increase in 1 year might be extreme, and maybe they should tear that over several years, or maybe?
Yeah, certainly.
It's kind of like some challenging planning on their part.
As we have the opportunity, as I said, you know, we have some spring meetings coming up here, and that's something we'll certainly be making known, that has a real impact on us.
Did that catch you off guard too, Bruce?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, we knew the financial struggles were there. They've communicated that, but I first read in the Star Tribune that they're going to implement this per student fee. That was the first I'd heard about it. So, yeah.
Basically, though, they got caught. They should have increased their fees along the way, would be my guess.
Yeah.
Because they increased the cost of venues and those kinds of things. They just didn't ask us to pay more of the bill. That's my sense. 50% is a big piece, but
Yep.
they could have done it incrementally, perhaps.
It would be interesting to see their budget.
Heard a lot of comments on our logo this year, and everybody seems to love it, so thanks for all your work on our new logo, so.
Thanks.
Especially all the new stuff at in the gym at the high school, it looks nice, so.
Thank you.
Thanks, Bruce.
Thanks, Bruce. Nice job.
Board forum, does board members have anything they'd like to highlight?
The advisory board, the community services, I don't talk about it too much, but we're having a community meeting in April to talk about the pool, whether we're going to remodel it or build brand new. I'm probably going to build brand new, and the cost and everything, so.
Build brand new at the same site, Matt, or?
Probably. That's the plan.
So it might be
But it'll
closed down
probably-
for a year?
It's going to go to a referendum to pay for it, a vote citywide referendum to pay for it, so. So that's coming up in April, so there'll be news out on that, so.
Anybody else?
I'll be meeting with Principal Eric Hilden at Westside for my second time of the 3 tomorrow. My first meeting with him went very well. I'm pleased with where he's at, with what he's doing. He seems to be on top of things there, and I'm looking forward to the meeting tomorrow. And Scott, in my opinion, I think it's great for us to be able to set up those meetings with the principals. That was a good idea.
Moving on, then we'll go to the discussion items, Westside acquisition of the RFP process update.
Just wanted to inform the board, we received 3 responses to the 3 proposals. And we put a tabulation, kind of a comparison. Tabulation was kind of hard because there was a pretty good variety of different proposals put together. We meet with the Bach Facility Committee tomorrow afternoon, 5 o'clock. We'll go over those proposals with them, get some input, see if there's any questions, and then hopefully present that to the full board on the 16th, what proposals were there and if there are any recommendations.
Was BAC a new acronym? I haven't heard that one yet, so.
Bond Oversight Committee.
I know what it means, but I haven't heard it called BAC before, so. Thank you for that. Write that one down.
Another acronym.
Moving on to discussion item of the 2020 Common Legislative Priorities.
So not an information action or item, just information for you. Those of you that have been on the board for a while know that I try to pull all of the legislative platforms from the educational organizations, and there are 10 listed in the memorandum. And there were actually, I want to say, 67 different priorities or themes that were mentioned at least one time when I reviewed those 10 platforms. And I've tried to narrow those down to the bulleted items here. Those are the ones that were mentioned at least 4 of the times. And you can see that many of these are recurring themes, fully fund or better fund special education or the cross subsidy, provide additional per pupil funding, 1% more has been thrown out there by several organizations. Don't add or eliminate unfunded mandates, reduce special education paperwork, provide funds or some sort of mechanism to address the mental health needs in our students, make changes to the equalization formula primarily for facilities, allow flexibility to provide funding for additional investments in facilities, which is very similar to the last bullet, which is to provide funding and or flexibility with long-term facility maintenance dollars, and then address teacher licensure challenges and really look to find ways to increase opportunities for licensure. The reason that I put these forward to you is because now that the legislative session is well underway, you'll have many opportunities to advocate through the School Boards Association, the Rural Education Association, and others. And I think sort of strength in number of messages. When you think about taking 67 different priorities or themes that are referenced in the 10 legislative platforms. And if our legislators are hearing all 67 of those messages or themes, that has less impact than if we're trying to speak with sort of one voice. So I'd really encourage you to sort of take a look at these. I would say to maybe focus on the top 4: special education, additional per pupil funding, no new or eliminate unfunded mandates, and reduce special education paperwork. The nice thing about 2 of them, the eliminate or do not add unfunded mandates and reduce special education paperwork, they cost nothing to do. I realize it's not a budget session, and the top 2 themes or priorities do have a dollar sign attached with them, although the state has about a $1.5 billion surplus. But those are the 4, when I go down later this month to St. Paul, those are kind of the 4 that I'll really focus on, and then I'll also sort of intertwine others in that conversation, and I would encourage you to do the same, but nothing formal.
Questions?
Just a comment I probably should have mentioned at the board forum. It's later, but I am going to be attending the day at the Capitol, or the education day at the Capitol. So.
Good. Shoot for 2% more funding, and we'll settle for 1.
Right,
okay?
I'll go for 6. We'll see what we
There
can
you go.
negotiate.
Yeah, that'd be great. Moving on to our discussion items, second reading of policy 407 through 413. Any questions? Any new questions? Moving on to our action items. First action item is approval of resolution relating to the termination and non-renewal of the teaching contract. Motion to approve. Do we have a second?
Second.
It's open for discussion. Hearing none, I'll call a vote. Is approved. Personnel, do we have a motion?
I'll move.
Motion to approve. Matt seconds.
Bill did, but
Any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for a vote. Is approved. Move to closed sessions pursuant to Minnesota State 13D.05 sub 3B, attorney-client privilege due
Christie, you
to
wanna
pending
do this?
litigation.
All right, thank you.
move.
Threatened or pending litigation. I just need to make a statement before we make the motion to
Okay.
close. The open meeting law does give us the opportunity to close sessions when there is pending or threatened litigation. And that is so that we can have the opportunity to have a confidential conversation, for advice to be provided without the other parties being in the room during that conversation. So I would ask for the opportunity to do that. Of course, the pending or threatened litigation relates to the hanging of the pride flag. That's no surprise to anyone. I think the threat was made in an open session, right? So I would ask that a motion be made to close the meeting pursuant to the language that is on your agenda, so that we can discuss litigation strategy in a setting where my advice would be confidential.
I'll move.
Second.
We have it moved in a second. Any discussion? Hearing none. Please vote. Oops. My fault. Here we go. The meeting's now closed.